Celebrating and Taking Charge of ADHD is an innovative group coaching program incorporating mindfulness as an essential tool throughout. This podcast addresses a number of topics that we face on a day-to-day basis and celebrates the precious human life we have all been given. We are already good enough the way we are. However, you may be aware of some of the symptoms associated with ADHD that hold us back, so let's take charge of it together.
To 6 o'clock. Staying in the three counties, a lady from Hartford is trying to raise awareness and support for adult ADHD. Sue Hart was diagnosed with ADHD just over a year ago, and according to the charity ADHD Action, about 1.5 million adults in the UK have the condition, but only 120,000 are formally diagnosed. Sue, welcome to the programme.
Thank you, Roberto. It's good to be here.
Listen, it's an amazing story. So how does adult ADHD affect you?
Well, that's a really good question because we hear of the word adult ADHD, but not really knowing actually what it is. There's three main traits, basically, the scientists have put out. One is impulsivity, second is risk-taking, and the third is constantly novelty-seeking. But what that actually looks like and how it played out in my life was on being constantly stressed, very poor time management, starting things and not finishing things, and really affecting relationships. And the key thing, Roberto, is it goes undiagnosed, and it was undiagnosed for many years. I'm 46 actually tomorrow. And
happy birthday for tomorrow.
My life. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm a high achiever. It hasn't affected success, but it's a cost to my life in terms of constantly trying to prove and feeling like, I don't know.
I think you also might surprise a lot of people because, like, if you think ADHD, we think of young people, for example, children, and their issues. I mean, did you ever suspect you might have ADHD?
No, not at all. No.
I mean, it is very difficult to diagnose, so you could, in effect, live your whole life without anyone telling you you've got this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the serious thing, is that you will not seek a diagnosis unless something dramatic happens in your life and you want answers. And what it was for me was to do with relationships, because there's something called the ADHD effect on relationships. And 50% of us are going to end up in a divorce. So the figures are high, but we don't know what the root cause is. We just think, it's just another one that's failed.
So for you, was it a particular point in the relationship where you thought, I just want to find out what's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. Because once you try everything you can, it becomes very frustrating. And then you start to the anger increases in your life because you're getting frustrated with yourself. There's a lot of self-blame, so the self-compassion levels go down, and you really want answers, and that's what makes you seek the diagnosis. But there is an issue with that in the UK of getting the diagnosis, because it's 7 years on the NHS to actually see somebody.
So did you say 7 years?
Yes.
7? That's a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened to you? How did you get diagnosed?
Well, I went privately in the end. And that does cost money. It's costly to get a diagnosis. But some people, can actually just review the symptoms and see if those things are coming up.
Okay.
And, obviously seek help. A diagnosis is a good way to part of the journey, but it's not necessary.
At least you know what it is. I mean, anybody that's sitting at the end of a telephone call or normally in an office waiting to hear what their diagnosis is, it's not an easy process. But when you heard adult ADHD, how did you feel?
Well, really confused at the start because, like everyone else, you have a perception of something, and I thought, oh, it's just there's something that happened with children, young children. I didn't realise there was an adult ADHD. So I started doing some research and contacted some of the top scientists in the field to really understand it and look at what's required as a treatment program. And the key thing that I found, Roberta, is that it requires a holistic approach. So there's traditional ways to do it with medication, and there's non-traditional ways through mindfulness, training, CBT, looking at our behaviours and changing it. But then it goes through like a bit of a stage of grief because it's a loss to your identity. And then you get present to, actually, I can connect the dots now. This is exactly why this happened, and then this happened in your life. And once you're aware of it, you can change it. And that's why it's called, yeah.
Just for time reasons only, it's been a pleasure talking to you. How can people get more help? I mean, the charity in particular, where can people turn to?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, the thing is to go to celebratingadhd.com. There's lots of information on there. What I did is actually set something up that's a group coaching program, and it's accessible and affordable, and it's about transformation. Because when I started looking into support groups, I couldn't find anything that was actually taking charge of it, and I wanted something practical. And having looked into it and researched it and become a coach myself, I want to be able to offer that to others. So obviously you could come to Celebrating ADHD, but there are also many charities out there that can help too. So ADHD Aware, ADHD UK is a fairly recent one that's been set up, and the ADHD Foundation. So there's many help. There's lots of help out there, but it's whether you would actually go there to get the help.
So we're going to leave it there because we're out of time this evening. Pleasure talking to you. Good luck on your journey, and happy birthday for tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Hope you have a lovely day. Sue Hart from Hartford. Amazing story. We're out of time. I mean, it's gone so quick again. With the travel, here's...
Thank you for downloading. You've been listening to the Celebrating ADHD podcast, empowering people to reach their full potential. Celebrating ADHD works best combined as a holistic treatment program, so we advise you to consult your health specialist for medical advice. If you are not sure if you have ADHD, please get in touch as we can recommend a medical expert, as the diagnosis is all part of the journey. One of the best ways to take charge of your ADHD is through connecting with others that have ADHD too. Please follow us on the Celebrating ADHD Facebook page, Instagram and Twitter, or join the members area at www.celebratingadhd.com.